Need a check? Make one call. That's all. 602-977-1900. And always online at lernerandrowe.com. Now time for Calling All Sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910.
Hey, everybody, we say good afternoon to you on a Tuesday. Yep, it's not Monday. It is a Tuesday following the Monday holiday. Hope you had a great little vacation time. We did, and we are back today, and we are broadcasting live in Tempe at the Barrio Queen. We are hanging out because it is Taco Tuesday here at the Barrio Queen, and also it is El Bandito Yankee Tequila Tuesday as well. Manuch, did you have a nice couple days off?
You know, we worked a lot of scheduling for quarterbacks on Saturday and Sunday, and yesterday, I had what my wife and my mother-in-law call a B day. You know, just be around the house.
Okay.
So, yeah, I did a whole lot of nothing yesterday.
Good for you.
But it's, I call my wife and my mother-in-law, they can be professional beers because they can hang out and do this and do that and never leave the house. And, you know, they get out and about, do things. But they say they're some of the best pros at it. And I find it kind of hard not to be doing something.
Yep, I'm the same way.
You know, got up, I made brunch for us, did some scheduling, got some guests. Watch a little bit of the Bee Gees in reference to that. That whole.
That was on CNN.
Yeah, it was great. Now I watched a lot of the basketball game. Then I barbecued last night. Got that going.
Wait a minute! I thought you said you were doing nothing. It sounded like you were doing a whole lot of something.
Well, for me, if I'm home,
yes,
I'm doing a whole lot of nothing. But I'm doing something. Jimmy, I can't just sit there for 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
You know, the Bee Gees thing was great. The Barbra Streisand concert was great. Watching the game off and on, scheduling quarterbacks, getting guests for the week. So I guess I could sit there, but I got to be doing something.
Something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was something. So it's hard for me to be like our cat Maddie, who has a very hard day doing a whole lot of nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Laying around.
So I had what my wife and my mother call a B day. So it was fun to just hang out, I guess.
All right, let's go.
Time for the top local and national stories of the hour. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Bet big on your favorite teams and players in an environment that's as exciting as the game you're watching. There's no better place in the Valley to get in on the action. The Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar. Now, guys, what's your top story this hour?
Well, the Diamondbacks continue to impress. They continue to win. They play again tonight at Chase Field. Also, the Suns narrowing their coaching search now down to 3 candidates. And we now know who the NBA championship teams are, Denver and Miami. And we also know who the NHL championship teams are. It is Las Vegas and also Florida. So all of that stuff has been decided. Manuch, let's start first with the Suns quickly here because that was breaking news over the weekend a little bit. Nick Nurse turned down the Suns, opted instead for the Philadelphia 76ers.
It's been reported.
Well,
turned down the Suns.
Yeah, it's been reported. Look, essentially, I think he had a better relationship with the front office in Philadelphia. He knew the people that were in charge there. And I think he also wanted to go coach Joel Embiid.
And I believe that the president and him worked together with the G League team going many, many years back. Yeah, and I think when you look at Nick Nurse, I was hoping that the Suns would offer him the moon and then some. Mm-hmm. And reportedly that if it's between the two, I think for us Suns fans, I wanted Nick Nurse. I think a lot of folks wanted Nick Nurse to come in here with his pedigree of being a head coach that's been there and done that and taking a team to the championship and the playoffs on a consistent basis. But to your point there, Jimmy, it reported again, he wants to work with Embiid.
Right.
I think he'd really like to stay in that Eastern Conference, familiar with it.
He knows it, yep.
Comfortable with it. And he looks at the upside of the 76ers versus the upside of the Suns. And I think at this stage in his career, he's thinking, well, I probably got a better chance to win it all in Philadelphia than going to the Suns because you got Denver, you got the Clippers, you got Golden State, on and on and on. And I think the other thing, too, Jimmy, you can answer this. Does he have the horses to win it all with the Suns versus the 76ers?
Well,
that's what I'd look at.
Well, when you acquired Kevin Durant, You're supposed to have the horses. You didn't go out and acquire him to get beat in the second round of the playoffs. You acquired him to be in the championship final, and that never materialized. And I'm upset when people try to say things like, well, they're going to be in the playoffs. No, damn it. That's not good enough. It's not good enough with the money that you're spending on Booker and Kevin Durant. Surround him with complementary pieces and get to the finals.
And that's my whole contention right there. I don't want a newbie, Kevin Young and Fernandez, who's assistant coaching position. That window for Kevin Durant and Devin Booker to get together, whether they keep Andre Ayton or not, we'll have yet see. And if CP3 comes back, I just feel that for the standpoint you said I don't want just getting there. I want somebody that's been there over the top. So all things being said, the only thing I can think of is now that Nick Nurse is out, I'd prefer, quite frankly, they're gonna make that offer to Doc Rivers right now. Guy that's been there and done that. Yeah, he'll get you there. He'll also get you over the mountaintop, even though they've struggled in those playoffs the last few years. I'd rather see that. But my gut hunch, Jim, tells me it's probably going to be Kevin Young.
I'm going to make a case for Doc Rivers as well because the biggest gripe that everybody has is history. And that's all everybody and I understand that perfectly because we had referred to that recent history several times on this show. Is that he has gotten to the conference finals and lost. He has gotten to the Eastern Conference semifinals, had a clinching game against the Boston Celtics at Building and lost, and then lost Game 7 to the Celtics on the road in Boston. And that's what he discusses. They don't discuss how many teams he has taken into the playoffs and made some runs with. Now,
and the key, Jimmy, okay. The key what you just said there are finals. Yeah. Not just the playoffs, the finals. The finals and the NBA finals, and then the Eastern Conference finals and the Western Conference finals, not the playoff, not just the quarter round, the semi-round, and the final round. So at that point, hey, you get this team to the finals with what Spencer going to have to make personnel-wise that James Jones is going to make, depending on who he keeps. And I will say that coaching coming to fruition. Now, I think a lot of Suns fans out there go, well, he's had all these dudes on the team. The team finals couldn't get him over the top. Okay, the Suns got to go get more dudes.
Yeah,
more shooters. That's on James Jones. Make chicken, you know what, at a chicken salad, chicken, you know what.
Yep.
You got to be able to have guys. And if he gets the guys that being James, I think that a Doc Rivers could get him there. I'm just suspect that Kevin Young, that you're going to waste time on a guy learning how to get there when the win too small with KD on your team.
All right. You did reference Frank Vogel, who his name is still mentioned. You're not in the Vogel corner.
No, I'm not. He's a good coach. Don't get me wrong. I'll coach, and he won that in the bubble. Yes, he had a great team with LeBron and he had a very good team. And I think for Frank, from him, it was I hate to say this, just stay out of the way. Just coach them up. Do anything that's going to falter them from that finals the year they won just a few short years bubble.
One of the things that I really look at is I wonder, Manuch, with the three people that have been referenced still available for that head coaching job, if we're not done with the interview process.
No, I don't think so.
You think they're
done? No. Dwayne Rankin came on the show last week, and that's been reported that the finalists were this, and this.
Yes, I know.
I don't think Matt Ishbia would waste his time to go after anybody else in particular
than the three
he has right now. And for Frank Vogel, yeah, he's a good coach, but I prefer, quite frankly, Doc Rivers because of the short window that I think this Suns team has reference with KD and Book, and then. The jury, the contention still out with DeAndre Ayton too. Are they going to trade him? They're going to move him. If everything stands pat at what they have right now, I think Doc Rivers is your guy one way or the other. Just from the experience standpoint of getting teams to the finals and into the NBA finals.
A plus side about Doc Rivers too, the Sixers last year were top 10 in offensive and defensive efficiency, so maybe he can help with his defensive scheme too. But to your point about DeAndre Ayton, Manuch, I know Embiid and Ayton are completely different, but you think maybe Doc Rivers, some of his coaching that he had on Embiid could impact maybe Ayton?
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
I think Doc Rivers would hold him more accountable.
Yeah.
So whatever the Monty Williams rift was with DeAndre Ayton, and it looked as though there's that D had a rift with several of the guys. I mean, there was a tweet that came out last week where there's D Book having a little argument with DA on the sideline during the playoffs, like, yo, bruh, let's go.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to keep DeAndre Ayton, that head coach is going to have to break through and make sure you're getting the most out of DeAndre Ayton each and every game.
Were you surprised what the Miami Heat did last night in Boston?
No, not at all. I think that the Heat were the better basketball team. I think that the Celtics have the more talent. But when you look at team over and over like you mentioned, Jack, the defense. I mean, hell, I think that Brown had another turnover at the I think on the way to the airport, his luggage got stolen away from him.
He turned it over.
He turned over his luggage on the way to the airport.
Yeah.
8 turnovers.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck? It looked like KD reincarnated, like Durant was during the playoffs. I mean, I almost felt like the first thing came to my mind watching the Celtics in that first quarter, even though Tatum got hurt, twisted the ankle.
Yeah, he did.
Was the Peyton Manning. So you want to lose this game? That we heard him on Saturday Night Live with those kids out there in that sandlot. Just a better overall team performance. And Jimmy Buckets was not going to allow them to lose that game.
I was really impressed with the way he came on. And, of course, Caleb Martin as well. Undrafted and playing lights out with 26 points.
And everybody's bemoaning the fact, well, when Vincent gets back in the lineup, well, he's just a guy. He's not the end-all, be-all. My ass. Did you watch him in that game last night?
Yep.
He was the end-all, be-all. He and Martin were the guys that were making that happen last night. And, I mean, when you're like, what were they, as far as threes, for 9 for 225 last night? I'm sorry, 9 for 42.
Close.
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
I'm with you. That's it.
Where was that Celtics team that won 3 in a row in last night's game? You can't just show up and not move the ball and drive to the rim if you're missing. You can't hit the water from the boat, right? Take it to the rack. Oh, by the way, if Jimmy Buckets goes to the rack again uncontested, do you think that some of the Detroit Pistons former players, the Lambeers and the Isaiah Thomas of the world, are just rolling besides themselves? You're not making them pay for it with a 4 shiver?
You got it.
Don't you think that? Oh, that's right. They're playing the Nuggets.
Yeah, they are.
So there'll be no physicality in this game, this series whatsoever.
I don't know. I think Aaron Gordon and I think Joker's pretty physical when he wants to be. I think you're going to see it'll be a beefy game.
That's because
I just think that Denver is more physical than what people seem to believe.
That's because the Suns weren't going to the rack.
There you go.
We don't know.
They were settling for outside shots.
So I think the more physical team was Miami, to answer your question.
Agreed.
They moved the ball. They had the want-to factor. And when you take you're up by, 10, 12 at halftime, and you hold your defense, holds them down. That's where you saw Spoelstra in this defense. The Pat Riley school of defense reared its ugly head for the Miami Heat.
And that brings us then to our State 48 Roofing It's Your Call question of the day for a free quote, repair, or installation. Just head to state48roofing.com. You can always follow them on social media by searching #SexyRoofStatus. State 48 Roofing It's Your Call question of the day. Here it is. Who wins the NBA Finals matchup between the Heat and the Nuggets? Manuch, you outdid yourself on
sure
this
did, man.
Boy, some heavy thinking.
I kept it for all of our listeners out there because sometimes we throw some deep stuff at you. Let's just keep it simple, stupid.
All right.
Who you got?
I got the Nuggets and I got the Heat. Just go to Roc and Manuch Twitter and cast your vote, and then we will revisit it throughout the show. And by the way, the show runs until 4 o'clock today. All right, we're hanging out here, Barrio Queen in the Tempe Marketplace. Great lunch crowd already here. It is Taco Tuesday, and it is also El Bandito Yankee Tequila Tuesday as well. When we come back, it'll be our Valley Chevy Dealers Sounds of the Night. It continues with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910.
plays of the week.
Dancing and looking and directing traffic. And look at the length of this play. Murray to the 10, to the 5, and he's going to convert it. That's unbelievable.
Find new roads at your
You guys are hot.
Chevy dealer. Set up a test drive by heading to valleychevy.com. Now today's hot plays on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910.
Welcome back, everybody. We continue here, Tempe Marketplace, Barrio Queen, and it is indeed Taco Tuesday here at the Barrio Queen. It is also El Bandito Yankee Tequila Tuesday as well. We've got Jim Bob coming up after the 2 o'clock hour with our El Bandito Yankee Pick'em contest as well. It's Manuch, Jimmy B, Jax, and Spence holding us all together back at the fort, which is iHeartRadio. Time now to get into our Valley Chevy Sounds of the Night. And Manuch, let's begin right now with what we were discussing with the Heat and the Celtics, the game in Boston. And it was a game in which I think a lot of people felt, well, this is going to be a knockdown dragout. And it was anything but that. Here is the final call on TNT.
They had won 3 straight games to start this series. So it was a game 7. They stand eye to eye with history, and they did not blink. The Heat are going to the NBA Finals.
5 seconds.
On the road, 3rd win in this series.
My guess is they had El Bandito Yankee Tequila with them on that flight from Boston to Denver.
Yeah, and when it was 52-41 at halftime, he went, the Celtics have got to come out and make it happen that third quarter, and the Heat matched them. They, even though Boston outscored 25-24, that was pretty much it. And I really liked in the fourth quarter, Spoelstra had his starters out there. Let's close this bad boy out. And at that point in time, you saw, I think, a lot of shots going up from everywhere by the Celtics versus, I think, let's keep our poise, control it. Now, they tried. They got within, 8 at one time?
8 at one time.
And they just could not get any closer because Miami came back, took the ball down low, and then when you saw your basically your guys that just came up with Vincent and Martin having those big games, especially in the fourth quarter, that was the key. They knew how to close it out where Boston was trying to chase the lead.
So, ironically, with the Heat winning in Boston on the parquet floor, Jimmy Butler is voted as the Eastern Conference Final MVP. That award is named after Larry Bird. This is what it sounded like. Thank you again to TNT.
To the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals, the Larry Bird Trophy. And Alonzo?
Jimmy Butler.
All right.
How appropriate.
It was that's, I mean, I could just see people in Boston like ready to drive off a bridge because he won that.
The poetic justice that abounded in yesterday's game to see Jimmy Buckets, who just has worked his butt off, and to get that Larry Bird Award for the Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
Unbelievable. All right. Then the other standout star throughout the series for the Heat was undrafted out of the University of Nevada Wolfpack, Caleb Martin. He was spectacular last night. Listen to him.
No, that might have surprised you all. To the untrained eye, he just looks like he's an undrafted guy who's been in the G League, who's started in Charlotte, and now he's here, started on a 2-way contract. To y'all, that's what it looks like. To us, he's a hell of a player, a hell of a defender, playmaker, shot maker, all of the above. Everybody's seen Caleb work on those shots day in and day out.
5 seconds.
Surprised us. We've seen it every single day, and I'm so proud, happy for him.
Now, that's your teammate, Jimmy Butler, who just was awarded the MVP trophy. And what's he talking about? He's talking about his teammate. Spectacular stuff at that time. All right, Eric Spoelstra, look, the guy was just phenomenal as the head coach. And this guy is he the second best coach in the league right now? Maybe. Okay, let's go Popovich, Steve Kerr, Spoelstra.
Yeah, I think.
Are you in that order?
You know what Spoelstra did this year. I mean, thinking about the way he's at, I'd probably put him at number 3 at this point in time. But I mean, he's done this team. they had to claw their way in. They were on their last breath.
Yep.
They lose the play-in game, then they win, and then they get on a roll, and then they win this in 7 games after losing 3 in a row. Yeah, I put Spoelstra as the third best right now in the NBA. Absolutely.
All right, then here he is talking after the win.
We know we have more work to do. It is hard. It's hard business, and it's hard to survive 3 rounds just to get to that final round. We're extremely grateful for that. And I wanted everybody to acknowledge just how difficult it is and, to enjoy this moment. It's the longer you're around in this business, you realize the harder and harder it is to do something like this. It's a special group, so we'll definitely take this poetic justice, to be able to get it on this court. Tough environment.
I mean, look, he's exactly right. And fans don't understand a lot of times. Manuch, you work as you played in professional sports, how difficult it really is to get to that championship level.
And the poetic justice he's talking about is they got beat by the Celtics on their court in the finals last year. Come back, and I call it the payback.
Yep.
And again, I just think that the better team or team basketball, at least what I saw yesterday, was the Miami Heat versus the I'd call it the more talented Boston Celtics team. Jason Tatum.
3 minutes.
All right, so, of course, after the game, the TNT guys had to get their thoughts.
Their shots in.
Their shots in. That's fair.
Pardon the pun, Jimmy.
Yes, and they did. Charles Barkley, he did not hold back. Here he is.
Number one, they play bad basketball. They're so undisciplined and unfundamentally sound. They win games strictly on talent. They don't even run on offense. That's what disappointed me the most. You can win a lot of games on just talent. But when you, against the zone, they just settle for jumpers. There's no ball body movement. Same thing I said at halftime. You just come out. I don't even know what the final stats was. Yes, I do, actually.
9 for 42.
9 for 42.
5 seconds.
4%.
Thank you.
16 for 77 the last 2 games.
That's incredible.
2 minutes.
77. Wow. And here's Barkley Moore indicating that, hey, listen, the truth hurts. The inconsistent teams that he has ever seen.
We never know how they're going to play. This is one of the most inconsistent and talented teams I've ever been around. You got 2 guys who are all NBA. You got the defensive player of the year. You got the six man of the year. And in the last month, since a couple games, you say, what the hell happened against Atlanta? Huh? What the hell happened against Sixers? And then you come out here, you get down 3-0 with the first two games. Then you
5 seconds
games. Then you really play magnificent quarters. Then you try to choke game 6.
Unbelievable. He's just speaking the truth.
I love it. That he's most consistent, talented team that he's ever.
1 minute.
And I think that's a statement of guys not stepping up when they had to. And Missoula can only do so much. And I think that's one of the things that can do so much in reference to so many of the things that are going on with this team. Sounds of the day are driven by your Valley Chevy dealers. Spring into adventure at your Valley Chevy dealer. Spring into impressive power with the 20 Silverado, 1500 LTX. Take an adventure in the 2022-2023 Chevy Blazer, Equinox, Answer. See your Valley Chevy dealers today for offers on all cars, trucks, SUVs, and crossovers.
And by the way, how would you like a brand new 75-inch smart TV sit in your living room? Well, here's a way that and get it for free. Valley Chevy dealers want to give you a chance to win that TV right now. Rates do indeed apply, and you can get more details on this contest at rockandmanuch.com. But a chance to win a 75-inch smart TV right now. Just text Chevy to 59925. All right, what about the chaos that is surrounding the Arizona Cardinals in the locker room, on the field, and in the front office? Former Cardinals defensive lineman Kyle Vanden Bosch is our guest, and he is next. We continue to broadcast live from the Barrio Queen here at the Tempe Marketplace on Fox Sports 910.
It's the El Bandito Yankee Tequila. It's another El Bandito Yankee Tequila Tuesday. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B are live from
You guys are hot.
Valley Barrio Queen locations. Now back to the guys live from Barrio Queen on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We roll all the way till 4 o'clock today. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910, also 99.9 FM HD2, and on the iHeart Radio app. You hear him on the show all the time. He informs us, and rightfully so, on the National Football League. Kyle Vanden Bosch, former Cardinals, Titans, Lions defensive end. He is our guest right now. Kyle, welcome. It's Jimmy B and Manuch, and I'll just start with this question, pal. I guess I could just say the tank job is in full swing with the amount of players that everybody has seen leave. Is that fair for me to say right off the top?
No, I don't believe so. I think prudent moves have been made for the future of the team. I think at least roster-wise, the team was in more of a dire situation than even the record showed last year. This is going to have to be a rebuild from the ground up, and a lot of it is bringing in the right people that buy into the culture of Jonathan Gannon and the philosophies that he and his offensive and defensive coordinators have. So, look, they're going to, struggle through some adversity this year. But to me, this is a team that I can get behind. I feel like they're going to practice hard. I feel like they're going to be prepared. I feel like at least you can appreciate the effort that the players assembled on this roster will give on a week-in, week-out basis. Now, it's not a team on paper that is full of superstars, but this is a team that is, starting to form an identity based upon the personnel moves made, and it all starts with the personality of the head coach.
I think what Jimmy's alluding to, if I can interject here on that one, you got Allen's gone, one of your top defensive linemen. Murphy Jr.'s gone. Marcus Golden has moved on to where's he at now? Buffalo?
Steelers.
Good. Steelers. Buda Baker's a question mark. Sounds like he may come back. Now your best player on the offensive side, DeAndre Hopkins, is gone. Full blow-up out. What do you even call it? Full blow-up
rebuild,
whatever you want to call it. I mean, for the fan out there, what you're saying, it's not soulless for them. They want to see a team win. So when they see your best offensive player on the team gone, and then Murray maybe not back for, let's say, half the season, that's a hard pill for them to swallow, that kind of confidence, I would say, Kyle.
Well, I agree with that. I agree with that assessment, but I don't think it would be prudent to, pay a big contract to Zach Allen or to pay Byron Murphy or to me, just from the outside looking in, it wouldn't make sense to plug a couple of big holes in the dam when there's 10 other holes in the dam. And the biggest hole in the dam, as you talked about, is you may not have your franchise quarterback for anywhere from a few games to a number of games. And even if you had a stacked roster without Kyler Murray under center, and even when he gets back, there's going to be some growing pains, working some kinks out, coming back from an injury. You go all in, even though you're without your franchise quarterback, the highest paid player on your roster for part of the season, or do you start to fill holes, start to build at the ground level, knowing that next year, the following season, there's going to be some cap space freed up. There's going to be some high draft picks. There's going to be an opportunity to, at that point, add some premier players to whatever you have on the roster at this point.
I'm all good with everything that you just said, and I understand what they are attempting to do, and they want to get better in that next season with all the draft capital that they have acquired. Did you like OTAs? Did you enjoy those organized team activities? And they didn't call it OTAs when you were playing, right?
Mini camps.
Camp, yeah.
Yeah, well, we had mini camps. We also had OTAs. It seemed like we had more of them. It seems like OTAs get negotiated down every time the collective bargaining agreement. But I did. Look, when you play football your whole life, and football is pretty much year-round your entire life, that month, 2 months you get off after the season seems like a year. And while it's good to take a step back, take some time away, let your body and your mind refresh, it doesn't take long until you just don't feel normal. You don't feel right unless you're doing football things at the football facility with your teammates. And to me, the further I got along in my career, I was excited to assemble my guys so that we could see what we had. We could start to bond. We could start to push each other, and we could start to move forward. And you get that like first day of school feeling. Look, at the end of school, everybody hates school. You don't like your teachers. You don't like your classmates. You don't like anybody. But as the summer goes along, you start to miss them. You start to want to go back to school. You start to, you love that feeling of a new start, a fresh start, and new opportunities. And I feel like that's the way, 32 teams are across the league. You're excited about the next year because of what it could bring.
It's interesting. I think back in our mini camps many, many years ago, and if guys
3 minutes
were holding out on the offensive side, or we were missing our top player because they were all mandatory back in those days, because we had like 2 or 3 of them, if that. But the key was that the defensive guys would question, like if so-and-so is out, one of our top receivers, or Joe DeLamielleure was holding out at Gull River, it's like they'd kind of look and go, who are you going to replace him with? Kind of that vibe you could feel even at a mini camp back in those days. Do you think that's the same kind of vibe guys are thinking about in that locker room nowadays, even in the OTAs? You don't see your top studs there, or is it just a matter of having confidence in your GM that he can plug and play as the season comes around?
Yeah, I got to think, having been in locker rooms, that still doesn't change. Look, if you're a leader and you're invested and you're doing everything you can, not just for yourself, but you're giving to your teammates and spending extra time and pushing and putting in the work and sweating out on that football field. You
2 minutes.
resent the players that aren't there. I mean, it seems like now there's a bit more of a, everybody's got to take care of themselves, make sure their money's right. But I can tell you, when I was a team captain and a team leader, I didn't care about other people's contracts. I wanted everybody to be paid well, but I cared about wins and losses. And I saw it seems the perception has changed, or the view of off-season work. I saw every opportunity in the off-season as an opportunity to either close the gap between other than us, or extend the gap between the team that's not as good as us. And you find it. I saw a direct correlation between what we did in the off season and what happened in the season. And now I think the general view is it's just OTAs have an effect on the season. And when I truly believe that.
And I'll second that because from the offensive side looking over and
1 minute, 1 minute.
Top there, our top safety in at the mini camps, for whatever reason, you were like you couldn't help but notice you want to keep that continuity mini camps on if you were going to have a chance to win in those days the AFC East. We just didn't like any per se to ruin that continuity.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And look, I played on some bad teams. I played on good teams. But my favorite years and my favorite teams and around, we had 100% patient and voluntary activity.
Yeah.
There was no, and that comes from and the leaders being in there, because they're your second, third year, fourth year, understand how important it is. They don't want to let their leaders, their veterans down. But when veterans spend time, which is valid, which is true, like you don't have enough time when you're in this profession. However, if they are sacrificing time with family, if they're sacrificing their patient time to be there because it's important to the key players, the leaders, the cast.
Show great information as always. Have a great day, Kyle.
Thanks, guys. You too.
There you go. Kyle Vandenbosch, our guest, and he is driven by All City Towing. Look, you're looking for a new job? You're dissatisfied with what you're doing right now and you want a little more excitement in your profession? Well, just go to allcitytowing.com and check out careers. That's allcitytowing.com. rocandmanuch.com careers. They are indeed hiring. They have excellent benefits as well, including a 401k plan with a 50% match option. It's all available to you at allcitytowing.com. New vehicles, they have a huge fleet, and they are interested in you. If you're looking for a new gig, allcitytowing.com careers. Once again, that's allcitytowing.com. All right, when we come back, it is our Back in Time segment on this day. Roc and Manuch with JB on Fox Sports 910.
It's 910.
Welcome back, everybody. It is indeed Taco Tuesday here at the Barrio Queen. We're hanging out at the Tempe Marketplace. Also, El Bandito Yankee Tequila Tuesday as well. By the way, right now, right this second, unless you're driving, then pull over and do it. You want to text Chevy to 59925. Chevy to 59925. The reason is you'll be automatically entered for a chance to win a 75-inch smart TV courtesy of the Valley Chevy dealers. That is Chevy to 59925, and you can do it once a day. All right, Manuch, let's get to it. On this day.
Yeah, this would never happen in today's college football. Jackson, I want to get your thoughts on this. Back in 2011, Jimmy, we all remember this. Jim Tressel, who got Ohio State to the first national title in 34 years, in 34 years resigns amid NCAA violations from a tattoo parlor scandal that sullied the image of one of the country's top college football programs. Hell, nowadays, you got your quarterback or wide receiver representing that tattoo parlor as an NIL deal. That's how things have changed.
Yeah, it's been 12 years since that happened. I don't remember that scandal with Tressel.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah, that was big. Tattoo Gate.
And on top of that, I think that they something was traded in. I think one of the players traded something in and got money from his own. I don't know if it was a letter jacket or a jersey or something like that. But now I know even up in Missoula, you being in Montana, I think Jim Bob's South 40 Feet Shop would probably pay you, $50,000 a year for something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I know teammates that have cars from car dealerships and stuff. And look, I love NIL. Love that they did it. But I think if you could go back in time, they should put some rules and boundaries and stuff. They kind of just said, hey, NIL's out there, go for it. Right. And now it's like every avenue and everything's going on. They can't really set rules and regulations now because it's so big.
I think now that tattoo shop, one of those players is wearing that T-shirt around or has
the tattoo.
Eddie's tattoo shop on his forearm and getting paid $50,000 a year.
I'm just disappointed that Jax didn't have that. It could have been Jax Seed and Feed.
So were you on the precipice of the NIL, or were you on the back end when it started up? You graduated when they were just starting to come in with the NIL?
Yeah, so I graduated May of 22. So that first year, and Montana is always like 5 years behind everybody, so they don't really know how to.
Can we get that on tape?
No, not.
It is on tape.
Just as a state, they're all old school and stuff like that. But yeah, my senior year was when things started picking up for NIL.
What have you heard, at least in Missoula, in the Big Sky? What's the best NIL deal that you're hearing about now?
I would say car dealerships and like local restaurants and stuff like that are probably the biggest two.
A use of the car and then or cash plus use of the car or what?
Yeah, so they get I think it's like they get a rental car, insurance paid for, gas paid for. Yeah, it's insane. And then there's like clothing companies and stuff that you can get your own brand, but you can't put you'll see a lot of schools, you can't put the logo on there, but you can put like the jersey that looks exactly like the jersey, but it has the player's last name and the player number in front.
Jackson's got it down pat.
He does.
I do.
Don't you have some extra?
Yeah, you got any eligibility left?
Go back there and play?
I do. I should honestly get my waiver in and see if I can get something. Go in the transfer portal.
There you go.
As we move on, back in 2001, Barry Bonds hits 2 home runs, moving past Willie McCovey and Ted Williams into 11th place on the Major League career list with 522 home runs. Bonds, with 17 home runs
3 minutes.
May, surpassed the mark set by Mark McGwire in 1998 and Mickey Mantle in 1956. 17 dingers in 1 month.
He was on fire, Manuch. Absolutely on fire. And people were still walking him as much as they could. He only would see maybe 1 or 2 pitches that were hittable, and they were hittable out of the ballpark.
Well, all we know is that juice must have kicked in early for him. And
he still has to hit 100-mile-per-hour fastball. That juice has nothing to do with it.
It was probably the cream that helped his eye vision and all that kind of stuff. 1995, Mark McGwire ties a major league record by hitting 5 home runs in back-to-back games. His 3 homers today, basically on that first day in consecutive at-bats, helped the A's defeat the Boston Red Sox 8-1. And then in 1982, Cal Ripken Jr. of the Baltimore Orioles begins his major league record consecutive games play streak by starting at third base. His position,
2 minutes.
First 27 games during the streak, appearing 8th in the batting order against the Toronto Blue Jays. You're basically what that's saying is your skills are diminishing. We'll move you to third base. Your skills hitting have diminished. We'll move you to down in the order,
the lineup,
to number 8, just to keep everything going. So that's pretty much on this day, many, many years ago, as we look at the scandal of Jim Tressel by one of his players getting a tattoo.
Well, it was
getting paid for
it was his quarterback, and so that made big news. And remember, they had beaten LSU in the title game, and so this just blew up like crazy. And guys couldn't play, and I mean the NCAA, they didn't know what to do. They were like,
they still don't know what to do.
No, they don't.
They still know what they're doing.
No, they're useless.
Yeah.
Absolutely useless, and you can thank Mark Emmert for that.
I think if I recollect, he got the tattoo for free. I think that was the key.
Yeah.
1 minute. 1 minute.
As opposed to paying. I think it was either a letter jacket or a jersey that the other individual sold, got money
I think you're right.
off of something from them.
Yeah.
So that's on this day, many, many years ago, this, May 29th. Excuse me, I'm sorry, May 30th.
There you go.
So many years later. Lost track. Had that day off yesterday.
I know.
Get caught up. It's the 30th today already.
Lost your mind. Which is generally
30
what happens
seconds
on this show.
Lost it years ago.
Yeah. Coming up, hour number 2, our El Bandito Yankee Tequila Pick'em Contest. The founder, Jim Bob Morris, will be here on the phone to make his selections, and NBA Finals are set. We're going to talk with 3-time NBA champion Scott
10
Williams.
seconds.
He'll have his thoughts on the Miami and Denver matchup. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910.
their own deal.
Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Bet big on your favorite teams and players in an environment that's as exciting as the game you're watching. There's
You guys are hot.
place in the valley to get in on the action. The Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar. Now, guys, what's your top story this hour?
Well, we got a couple of things cooking. D-backs getting ready to play again downtown this evening against the Colorado Rockies. The Suns continuing to search for a coach, and the NBA Finals and NHL Finals are now set. Welcome back, everybody. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910. And if you want to watch all this great sports action, all you have to do is just go to Casino, Arizona. Head to the sports book. It's located in the CAZ Sports Bar. 47 flat screen televisions, 2 theater projection television screens, and of course, always food and drink specials. And you can make your wagers right there at the sports book. Once again, your one-stop shop. Great drink, food, and wagering. It's available at Casino, Arizona, and the CAZ Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar. Manuch, let's start first here a little bit with the Chase Field activity tonight. This is a team that we're seeing in the Diamondbacks that continue to surprise everybody in the National League.
Well, and especially after you losing 3 in a row, you lost a series, but then you win the last game against Boston on Sunday 4-2. Last night, what a nice comeback victory they had to win 7-5. Again, they got Colorado, as you mentioned, Jimmy, tonight at 6:40. Tomorrow at 6:40 for a 4-game set. And then the last game is going to be a getaway game for the Rockies on Thursday before the Atlanta Braves, the very hot Atlanta Braves, come in. So, resilient team. You lose 3 in a row. Would like to see you win that series, but they're keeping pace with the Dodgers, only 1.5 games back of the LA Dodgers. And I look at the San Francisco Giants. They're 6 games back, first place. But there go the San Diego Padres, 8 games back, gentlemen.
Yep.
Very interesting to see that. But when the Dodgers lose, the D-backs lose. When the D-backs win, the Dodgers win. So keeping it within 1.5 speaks volumes of where this team is at. But if they can win this 4-game series with Atlanta coming in on Friday, that'll speak volumes that this team is playing very consistent baseball.
I'm with you 100%. And they're fun. They're just fun to watch now. And I thought it was pretty interesting when we had Jody Jackson on last week, and we talked about how they started out as a team that was, punching the ball left, right, center field.
Kind of the punch and Judy team.
Yeah, a little bit. And then they would swipe bases and manufacture runs. And then all of a sudden they got guys hurt, and the long ball started to take off. So this has been highly entertaining, and I'm really enjoying the D-backs.
Well, when you got Pavin Smith, who was in a little bit of a slump, it's a 3-run dinger yesterday.
Right.
And, they come back. I mean, they're down 4-zip in the bottom of that second inning. They get 5 runs, and then you get Gurriel. I mean, here's a young man that's got 9 home runs right now, and you got some pop coming out of the back of Corbin Carroll, out of the bat of Corbin Carroll, and then Christian Walker. We're not having to wait around for him. So, to answer your point there, Jimmy, I think they're getting more power, not having to play small ball. But I think that what they do have in their back pocket is that they can play small ball and have that power in their bats in reference to some of the guys that can take it yard.
Also in the NBA, the Suns continuing to search for a coach. Manuch's favorite that he was hoping that would get the Suns job was Nick Nurse. Instead of taking the Suns job, Manuch, he opted for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, and it's all been reported that the choices were the Phoenix Suns or the Philadelphia 76ers. It's also been reported, without hearing from him directly, that he was looking to coach Embiid and the group of individuals, the 76ers. Not that he didn't want to coach the Suns, but I think Embiid's that common denominator for him to go, hey, I'm going to go coach the MVP.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go see what we can do to get this team, that being the 76ers, to make sure that this process is finally working to get them to the NBA Finals when they've been oh so close the last couple of years. So I think he's more comfortable with the East, Jimmy, coming out of Toronto. A lot of his coaching has been back there on the East Coast.
Right.
The president of the 76ers, he's very familiar with. He's got a relationship with.
Daryl Morley.
They're both part of the same G League team that they were with. So I think just the comfort of it and having the MVP and having the ability to be assured that the 76ers are going to go get the pieces to make sure they can get over that proverbial mountaintop. That's the only way I can look at why he turned down the Phoenix Suns.
Does your attention then turn to Doc Rivers?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I would go get Doc Rivers. I wouldn't waste any more time. Kevin Young, you'll be an outstanding head coach at some point in time. The Suns don't have the luxury of having the next 4 or 5 or 6 years. You've only got KD for 3 more years.
Yep.
Devin Booker. DA is a big question mark. CP3 is a big question mark. Basically, as far as I'm concerned, you've got 2 studs. DA, okay, if he lives up to all of what he should be doing. But then what do you have, Jimmy?
Right.
You got a bench that really faltered, faded like tissue paper in a rainstorm.
I knew that was coming.
You got 2 other guys. You're basically, I think, what Nick Nurse saw is like sometimes it's 3 on 5 or 3 on 6 because you don't have those guys. And for CP3, I'm sure he looked at it and went, well, going to be 38, 39 years old. His game is waning away. And he wants somebody or a team that knows they can come in night in and night out and have a chance, Jimmy. Have a chance to win the NBA East.
Going back to the Sixers, I think they're going to be a team that's really interesting to see what they do this offseason. I mean, they got 10 free agents, one of them being James Harden.
Right.
Do you re-sign James Harden? You saw some good sides with Embiid. You saw some bad. But, I mean, to your point, Manuch, Nurse sees something in Embiid in this ownership. Maybe they had a pitch to him, say maybe we're going to go get a guy like Damian Lillard, or maybe we're going to go all in and get someone to pair up with Embiid.
I think that and his buddy, the president, made some assurances of what they're going to do. And folks, I got to tell you what, interviews are a two-way street. Whatever your job is, you go after. If I'm Nick Nurse, I have the luxury. I've got a couple, 2, 3 options here. And I'm going to interview you, Philadelphia. I'm going to interview you, Matt Ishbia, owner of the it all.
Yeah.
Because right now, if he comes into Matt Ishbia, I would say to him and James Jones, what are your plans for me to take you all the way to the finals? Now, I can't guarantee you, but I can guarantee if you give me the horses, I can be at the very end of that race and have a chance to win it all. So I'm sure he interviewed Ishbia, an interview with the president of Philadelphia. Maybe he liked the answers better. Maybe he likes the East Coast better. Maybe he's more comfortable with Embiid. I don't know what it is, but obviously something set them apart. It sounds like Embiid was the common denominator for this team.
Manuch, if indeed they decide to go for a coach that does not have head coaching experience, Frank Vogel is available, Doc Rivers is available. Yeah. What will be your reaction?
Oh, I think I've got their experienced guys. I mentioned I'm a Doc Rivers fan. And at least they can say he's got him to the finals. Yep. He's gotten to the NBA Eastern and Western Conference Finals. He were there the finals.
He did win an NBA title.
He won an NBA title. The guy just didn't get bad as a coach. Now, some have questioned his adjustments at the end of the game. And I think what you mentioned, Jax, is do you get rid of a James Harden because he wouldn't do the adjustments for Doc Rivers at the end of the games, or he wouldn't adhere? Or maybe there just wasn't the chemistry. Maybe there's too many cooks in the kitchen. I don't know.
Could be.
I mean, maybe they tuned Doc Rivers out, want to do their own thing. I don't know. But I think Doc Rivers has learned and understands that if he wants to come here, versus going somewhere else, maybe to Milwaukee to win it all, then he understands what it takes to get there and do that. Me personally, I don't want a newbie.
Okay.
I want a guy that's been in the ocean swimming.
So you don't want Kevin Young.
I don't want Kevin Young. I don't want to have to take the floaties off.
All right.
And figure out how to swim or how to tread water or find the side of the pool. I want a guy that knows the where the currents are, knows how to navigate across the lake or across the ocean in order to get there. Just no, I don't. That's just my preference.
All right, let's make a quick move then to college basketball. And the reason that we are is because Arizona has picked up a really good player, former North Carolina guard Caleb Love. You might remember he was originally going to go to Michigan. That changed, and now he is now going to go to Arizona.
Got a better offer, I guess, huh?
Well,
better NIL deal?
Well, that could be, but it was related why he couldn't go to Michigan. There was an admissions issue, and it was related to his credits transferring to that university.
I'm being facetious. Yeah,
I know.
That's and a lot of it is that, folks, you understand. You go in the transfer portal, everything has to line up for you. Even if you're a JUCO transfer to a college, you got to make sure you have enough credits that you can legally or educational-wise transfer to that college, even from a JUCO. You got to have the correct hours or what they call the minimum amount of hours to transfer in order for the year you're going to be. Now, you as a JUCO, you can transfer as a freshman as long as you have the credits, the 12 or 14 credits that college wants. So it's a combination of credits, it's a combination of going to the right basketball team, and it's a combination of the NIL deal. So my question mark is, well, if he could get into Michigan because of that, how is he going to get into U of A? Because of the same scenario, higher standard, or they made it work. How are they going to make that work? If he couldn't get into Michigan, now he gets into U of A. How does that work? A lower standard?
Yeah. So Caleb Williams averaged 16 points in his last 2 years. Obviously, played for UNC when they made that national championship run as well. But I mean, hell of a player, a big get for Arizona because we saw last season when they lost to Princeton. Their biggest lack was guard play.
Correct.
So it was Ballo and Tabellis down low. Now Ballo comes back.
And we beat that up ad nauseum.
We did.
Yeah, they got a huge guy in Caleb Love. Their shooting guard last year averaged 9.8 points per game. Caleb Love comes into this averaging 16 points and could average more in a Pac-12, which is quite weaker than the ACC.
Hey, that's all well and good. But that's my question. How did he not be able to get into Michigan? Because
transfer credits.
Transfer credits.
Yeah.
And he get U of A because of maybe transfer credits.
Their curriculum could be different.
Well, and that's it right there, Jimmy, because sometimes there's a scenario where, okay, we'll accept these credits and those credits where another school won't accept them. So maybe U of A was enticed, wink, wink, to accept the lack of credits. He might have had a bunch of elective courses that didn't go. Maybe underwater basketball weaving didn't transfer to Michigan like it did to U of A or something like that.
He definitely would have gotten into K-State, though.
Yeah. Absolute School of Higher Learning. We'd had tutors out the wazoo to make sure we got his grade point average up to 3.5 or something like that.
That class at K-State of underwater marble stacking is a big hit.
It's tough. Have you ever tried to do that? It's extremely hard. Maybe at the bottom of the pool, man.
It is our
pressure's lower down there.
It's our El Bandito Yankee Tequila Pick'em contest. You get a chance right now to win a $25 gift card. El Bandito Yankee Tequila owner and former Green Bay Packer Jim Bob Morris is going to be our guest. He will make 3 picks.
Speaking of Wildcats,
I'll have to ask him if he majored in underwater marble stacking. I'll have to see if that's the case. You can call 602-260-9191. That is next. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910.
It's another El Bandito Yankee Tequila Tuesday. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B are live. And the iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back, everybody. We're in the Tempe Marketplace, the Barrio Queen, and it is time now for the El Bandito Yankee Tequila Pick'em Contest.
Tequila.
There you go. And the owner of El Bandito Yankee Tequila, Jim Bob Morris, is always on the show on Tuesday. We always test his sports knowledge by picking games of all sports against a caller for a $25 gift card to the Barrio Queen. Jim Bob, it's Jimmy B and Manuch. How are you, pal?
What's up, Jimmy B? Manuch, I just got back from 500. It was a blast. The Andretti team has out there, and we're looking at doing some association with El Bandito Yankee on IndyCar Series and Formula E and whatever else comes about.
My goodness gracious, it's about time you realize to go hook up with the Italians out there, big fella. The Andretti's, Mexican El Bandito and Italiano getting combined there, right?
Oh, Michael Andretti loves tequila, so I inundated him with tequila this weekend. So we'll see how this week goes for Michael.
Jim Bob, I got to ask you, they were reaching the fine speeds of 233 miles an hour. What's that like to be down the track to see those guys be a blur as they go by you?
You know, I tell you what, it really is. It's different racing. I mean, you know, we do a lot with NASCAR, and NASCAR to me is very entertaining because, you know, rubbing is racing these days. I mean, it used to be kind of a fallacy, but man, there was more rubbing this weekend at NASCAR than I've seen. But you know, these Indy cars, I mean, it's just pure unadulterated speed, man. It is nothing but zooming around the track, and boy, everything's got to be precise. You cannot make any mistakes when you're going that fast. They are really zipping around there. It was a cool experience, and I got to tell you, is that we're involved in all auto sports. You know, NHRA, NASCAR, and soon to be. We want to get into Formula One and the Indy Series. So it's just a matter of time.
That'll be awesome, big dog. All right, let's get to the contest. You're going to be playing against Bobby in Glendale.
Bobby Yeomans.
Bobby Yeomans in Glendale. So let's start right first with the NBA playoffs. They begin Thursday night. The Heat at the Nuggets. Denver -8.5. And the over-under is 219. Where are you, Jim Bob?
I Heat all the way through to win the NBA Finals, and I think the Heat are going to cover that 8.5 points, and I say that it is going to be over on the score.
And this might be one of those series. There might be a game in there, Jim Bob. It might be the first one to 150 that wins one of these games, right?
I tell you what, I like the Heat. They seem to be like a team of destiny. They're playing good defense. I think everybody's going to take the Nuggets, but I'm going to go with the Heat.
All right, Spencer. What's Bobby got? Who do you take on this game?
Bobby's taking the rested Nuggets to cover and win in Game 1 at home, and he's taking the over.
All right, good to see there. All right, let's go to the National Hockey League. Jim Bob Morris, the Panthers at the Golden Knights. That'll be Saturday night. The over/under for goals is 5.5. 5.5 goals. Panthers got a little bit of rest. Golden Knights crushing last night's Dallas team 6-0. Which way are you leaning on this?
I'm going to go with the under. I think that it's going to start turning into a defensive game. Watch them score 13, but I'm going to go with the under on the 5.5.
What's Bobby got there, Spence?
Bobby is also going under. He thinks they're going to come out a little tentative in Game 1 and play a little safer, so he's going under.
Interesting. Okay, here in Arizona, the Arizona Diamondbacks are a game and a half out of first place in the National League West, playing absolutely terrific baseball. They are matched up tonight against the Colorado Rockies. The over-under is 8 runs. Where are you on that, Jim Bob?
I'm going to go with a slugfest tonight, and I'm going to go with the over on that. I'm going to say the bats are going to be alive, and we're going to go over the 8.
And how about the comments from Bobby? What's he got, Spence?
Bobby's going to pull for some web gems tonight, and he's going under.
Woo! There you go. All right, big dog. Bandito Yankee Tequila. Yeah, man.
We got a matchup there. Hey, does he realize I'm like 98-2 against everybody? We can't give any money or certificates away.
Okay, I love it. You're a Wildcat, former Green Bay Packers. You're embellishing. You're not 98-2. You're 94-3. Okay. My goodness. I mean, I know you K-State kids like to embellish a little bit there, big fella.
Well, I mean, I've been pretty good, guys.
All right, so here's my big quick question. When the NBA series, HL series are Florida, are you going to be at any of those games? Chance to get there?
We're going to do the 9th, and then we're doing, I think, the 4th and the 13th, whatever the schedule is. I looked at this, and I got to go to a wedding on one of them. Chelios is going to come down and join me, and we're going to go hockey one night, NBA the next. And we're going to blast on there. So we're going to have a lot of fun.
I got to imagine Bandito Yankee Tequila will be abounding at those two games.
It is. We are doing a great tearing up Florida.
3 minutes.
I know, got my kid out. You guys appreciate it. Make it El Bandito Yankee Day.
You got it, partner. All right, we will talk to you next week. See ya.
See you guys.
There you go. I'm living vicariously through Jim.
No
Bob.
kidding, huh?
Yeah, going to the hockey game and then the NBA.
Yeah, we'll just jump on the jet.
Yeah,
and we'll go down to Florida.
Hey,
and do
Jim
this
Bob,
and do
send the jet for us, will you?
Yeah,
we'll do the shows from Florida.
How about El Bandito Yankee Tequila with the Andretti racing team? Yeah, I was talking to Michael Andretti at the race on Sunday, and we were kind of shooting BS about how we can incorporate that. You look at this. They'll have. They're talking about motorcycle racing,
right?
Formula One, not there yet.
Yep.
They're there with NASCAR.
Yep.
And now making the foray into Indianapolis
2 minutes
racing. So I got to think that Roc, Manuch, Jimmy B, and Jackson got to make a trip.
I would think
sooner or later to one of these events.
I think that we should be there and we should be doing the show.
Hey, Jim Bob. Hey, send your jet down to pick us up here at the Scottsdale Airport. And we'll fly. We'll do a couple shows on the road. You know what? He wouldn't balk at it. He's that kind of guy.
I know how he is.
Absolutely. He would not balk at it.
That would be a lot of fun. All right, everybody. Sit back and relax because when we come back, we're going to dive into the NBA playoffs. And the reason, well, 3-time NBA champ is going to be our guest. That's right. It's Scotty Williams. He's going to join us here on the show, and we are going to break down what happened last night between Boston and Miami and get you ready for Denver and Miami. It's coming up next. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910.
This is what's true.
So it was a game 7. They stand eye to eye with history, and they did not blink. The Heat.
You guys are hot.
NBA Finals. What a win on the road. Third win in this series.
And thank you to TNT for that. And our next guest is 3-time NBA champion Scott Williams. You got his brand new book out as well, Through the Fire. It's a memoir of trauma and loss, basketball and triumph. It's a terrific book, and it is well worth the read. And Scott joins us right now. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910. Scott, welcome as always. Let me pick your brain in exactly what you watched last night between the Celtics and the Heat, because it appeared that one team came prepared and ready to battle no matter what, while the other team was going through the motions.
Hey, gentlemen, I hope you guys had a good holiday weekend. I got a chance to get down to the D-back and check out some baseball as well. They're playing some good baseball, but yes, the NBA was talk of the weekend. Miami Heat going to Boston, winning a game 7 on the road. You got to give a lot of credit to Coach Spoelstra and the resiliency of that Heat bunch after taking a gut punch on a last-second shot in Game 6. He rallies his troops, gets them mentally prepared to go to Boston and compete. While on the other side, I think Charles Barkley summed it up best when he called the Celtics a bunch of, I'll say donkeys, instead of the word that he used, since we're on air here. But they're not ready to play. They decided they were going to live by the 3, die by the 3, and it didn't help them that early in that game, Jason Tatum, he came up gimpy after, tweaking an ankle early in that first quarter. But I just didn't like the way Mazzulla got his guys ready to play. He took Jason Tatum out in that first quarter when his team was already struggling to score. And as any basketball player tell you, when you tweak something, last thing you want to do is rest it. You got to keep playing on it, or else you just sit on the side and the blood starts to pool in there and it swells. And there was a time when he had him coming back into the game after a quarter break instead of subbing him straight into the game. He sent him to the scorer's table after the second free throw was made, and he sat the rest of the quarter at the bottom of the scorer's table and watched his team only score 15 points in that first quarter, and they fell behind by 7 in the end of that first quarter, and pretty much the route was on after that.
Scott, well, whose responsibility then? And Jimmy and I talked about this earlier. If you can't hit the water from the boat and you're still continuing to shoot, I mean, why not take it to the rack, take it to the rat, just rely on your twos and just do that? Is that a Mazzulla, the head coach? Is it the leadership on the teams? Is it an anxiousness? Is it me ball? I mean, why is that? Because as a fan, it's like, well, take it to the rack.
It's a combination of all three with varying degrees of not equal parts, right? So one, coaching staff, leadership of the brain trust on that bench, not getting in players' ears when they're on the bench, saying we got to start driving the ball harder to the hole, right? Kind of hard to do that in the heat of the battle, but when guys are coming in to the game, let them know we're missing from our threes. We got to do better. They go out and shoot 4 for 21 in the first half. So the message wasn't sent, the message wasn't received from the brain trust. As a player, you know when your shots aren't falling. Jaylen Brown out there, 1 of 9 from 3 points. Now, some of those came late when they were trying to make up that 20-point deficit, but he goes 8 for 23 on the game. He's got 8 turnovers, so he's not playing good basketball. He only got to the free throw line, I believe it was twice, or maybe 4 times, but just not driving it in there enough. His counterpart on the side, Caleb Martin, he's 11 of 16, 68%, knocks down 4 threes, or 26 points, 1 turnover, and 8 boards. So, I'm not going to put it all on the players. I'm going to put it all on the coaches, and let's give the Heat defense some credit too for deciding that, hey, the way we got back into the game in the fourth quarter, Game 6, was making these guys have to play on the perimeter. So that was their thought process to start the basketball game in Game 7 and work to their advantage.
So now we move on. Thursday night, it's the first game of the NBA Finals. Yeah, the Nuggets haven't played in almost a month and a half, it seems.
Feels like. Right?
And here comes a 7-game series. A lot of juice coming into the game on Thursday, where the Nuggets have had time off. I don't know which way do you lean at least for one, with the Nuggets maybe knock the rust and feel pretty good about their game going into time, or getting more in sync where the Heat are already in. I mean, you see where I'm going here with this, Scotty?
Yeah, there's always that debate, rest versus rust. Which one are you going to see? And sometimes the hot team just likes to keep playing. You don't wake me up, right? But or will we see that Denver team that's 81 points on the scoreboard, Phoenix Suns in game half of game number 6 here in Phoenix, right, where they were just knocking everything in, outside punch. Like more board, or will they start a little lower because they haven't played it. I'm getting to the point that Mike Malone knows what he's going to have his guys ready to play that time to scout. Not whatever they were going to play, but I'm sure they were probably looking at Miami. Miami jumped out to a 3-0 lead, and so they got a well scouted to begin with, 44-51 at home over the course of the season in the playoffs. So they're tough. They're going to be out there in Denver.
Where the big matchups, the way you look at this, break it down, where those matchups going to be, and you talk about defense versus offense. Not that the Nuggets can play the defense, but who see this leaning in reference to at least game one?
One of the stars. This is going to show. Jimmy Butler's going to do his thing. Jokic do his thing on that side, right? So the problem I think where Miami's going to have is Denver has some guys that can match up with the Monstruses, Kyle Lowry, other dudes that they got, the undrafted bunch. Jimmy Butler referred to him as his teammates, not more credit to that. He said, even my teammates, but can they match the firepower at which Denver has, like the Gordons, the Murrays, Michael Porter Jr.'s, Aaron Gordon, KCP. So can those guys now get out on the perimeter and do some of the things that they were effective doing against Boston? The way that Denver can attack them both on the perimeter and then with their big length and size inside that painted area as well. I just think that it's just too much firepower, and this is Denver's year. If I'm having to go ahead and pick a series winner, give me Denver in 5.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. I really think Denver's a sensational team, and they are loaded, and they're playing at a very high level. All right, you referenced Michael Jordan. What is Scottie Pippen doing?
No, please don't ask me that.
I got to. I'm sorry, pal. I can't help it. I mean, when I was working and calling those games, and I've called a lot of Bulls games during that time, I just never thought that was his MO. Is it? Can you help me out here with what he's saying?
I'm dumbfounded, flabbergasted, and any other adjectives that you want to throw in there. I like to stay out of the way of these heavyweights, these Hall of Famers when they get into tiffs. I love both those guys. Scottie Pippen was a great teammate. Michael Jordan, a different style of teammate and motivator. I love playing with and for, I guess you would say, both of those cats. So I try to stay in my lane. Stacey King and I talk about it all the time. Scott, just keep your head down when you answer that question. Just be Switzerland. But I do say it does hurt my heart because this is the 30th anniversary of what would have been the first three-peat, right? The first dances, if you allow me that, considering the second three they called the last dance.
3 minutes.
I really was looking forward to getting the band back together, so to speak. We were like the rock stars, the Beatles, the Jackson 5. Every time we hit the road, it was so fun to be around those guys during that time. I was hoping we could have some good, I would say family reunions, but at least, get the band back together, break some bread someplace, even if it was team-oriented or sponsored. Just some guys getting together on their own and say, hey, let's meet up with the downtown restaurant in Chicago and make a fun night out of it. That ain't going to happen at the current state of things.
All right, Scotty. Nick Nurse taking the 76ers job. That leaves you with Kevin Hunt. I'm sorry, Kevin Young.
Kevin Young, yeah.
And then you got Doc Rivers and Frank Vogel. I don't know. I'm leaning. I would prefer that they got Nurse, but he's moving on to Philadelphia. I'd love to see them get Doc Rivers over a young, pardon the pun, Kevin Young, whoever's to this Suns team. Which way are you leaning? Would you like to see the Suns go now?
I'm sure they're both fine coaches.
2 minutes.
I don't know Young as well as I've been around Doc Rivers during my time in around the league, playing and broadcasting and coaching. And I kind of lean like you too. Like, just give me a guy that maybe may have a bit more credibility right in the locker room. But then you go, well, Young's been here, right? So he's been on that staff. He knows these guys. They have already a built-in rapport with them. But sometimes a fresh voice from the outside coming in to assess things is always a good thing too.
I think if you've been there and done that, gotten teams on a consistent basis to finals, whether it be Eastern Conference or Western Conference or NBA finals, that's got a lot of clout to it with that window with the Suns. It could be no more than, 2 or 3 years when you only have those two guys, those two superstars on your team, and a big question mark with your guy in the middle, that being DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, there's a little. Well, I'm sorry.
1 minute. 1 minute.
Continue.
Hey, you know what? I'd love to call a game with you, man. That would be so much fun. If you want a good chuckle, look up 1984 Michael Jordan NBA debut. See if you hear a familiar voice calling that game on TV.
I'll do it. Yeah, those were some fun times with those guys. Like I said, I hope they can settle whatever beef is going on. It seems to be more one-sided with Scotty right now, but I hope he finds his way to sitting down or picking up a phone and talking with MJ and working those things out. But I would definitely look at that because I would like to be able to go back during this finals, maybe even off days, and bring up some of those games from the '93 finals against the Suns, where we had those battles, and especially that triple overtime game number 3. Wow, that's such good memories when I think about battles with Sir Charles and Thunder Dan and KJ. So maybe we can do something to figure out a way to relive some of that.
And you broke up on us. Who were you saying that the Suns? Who would you like to see out of the 3 left?
Oh, I'm sorry. I would just say that they're all fine coaches, but I just kind of lean towards Doc.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because he's got a bit more of a resume than Coach Young.
Always great, pal, when we have you on the show. Thank you, and we'll look forward to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, right. You guys enjoy the game on Thursday.
Okay, thank you. There you go. Scott Williams, 3-time NBA champion.
What's with Scottie Pippen? I don't get it.
I had to ask him that.
I know.
I couldn't help it.
I agree with you. I'm like, why the hell do you pop that out there like that? That it's his stats, blah blah blah. I get it. I mean, it's not all about stats.
No.
I mean, why keep picking at that scab?
I don't know.
Maybe it's because Michael Jordan's son is dating
his ex-wife,
daughter, ex-wife.
No, it's Scottie Pippen's ex-wife is who his son is dating.
I agree, though. It's all one-sided. Michael Jordan hasn't said anything.
No.
It's stupid,
and he doesn't need to.
You know what? And you're right, Jimmy. He doesn't need to. He would just say, consider the source.
Yeah.
Scotty's got some issues. He maybe didn't get enough hugs when he was small, and he's got to put that out there. Like, well, I was on that team. Well, guess what, Scotty? You never won any championship unless Michael Jordan was on the team. What are you doing with that? I think enough.
Oh, man. Unbelievable. All right, everybody, break, and we are coming back. And when it's our random fact of the day. It's presented by your Valley Chevy deal. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports, 910.
It's another El Bandito Yankee Tequila Tuesday. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B are live from one of the 7 Valley Barrio Queen locations. Now back to the guys live from Barrio Queen on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeart Radio app.
Did you know the human head weighs 8 pounds?
Did you know that Troy Aikman in only 6 years has passed for 16,303 yards? Did you know the career record for most hits is 4,256 by Pete Rose, who is not in the Hall of Fame?
Do you know that
You guys are hot.
3 rabbits?
Now time for Fox Sports 910's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B to give you the random facts of the day driven by your Valley Chevy dealers. Find new roads at your Chevy dealer. For a dealer near you, head to valleychevy.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We're here in the Tempe Marketplace, and we're hanging out at the Barrio Queen. And it is Taco Tuesday, and it is also an El Bandito Yankee Tequila Tuesday as well. It is time for our random facts of the day, and it's all presented by your Valley Chevy dealers.
All right, folks, you may not have known this. I know Jimmy knows this. I knew this as well. But the Heisman Trophy is named after a football coach from the early 1900s named John Heisman. His biggest contribution to the game was having the center snap the ball to the quarterback. Before that, the center used to just put it on the ground, meaning the quarterback would just grab it, turn around, and hand it off to whomever way back many, many years ago. Were you aware of that, Jimmy?
I was aware of that, and I did not call any of John Heisman's games.
I didn't say anything whatsoever.
I knew where you were going.
This one, White Castle, the hamburger, was founded in Wichita, Kansas in 1921, but now there are no locations in the entire state.
That's amazing.
Now, I get it. And those of you from the Midwest and Chicago, you love these White Castle hamburgers.
Sliders.
They're about, 3 inches wide by 2 inches high. And it's a patty with onions on it. And you can buy them at the frozen food section at any grocer that's out there. It is the most bland, vanilla, boring hot dog I have ever had in my life.
Not a hot dog.
I mean, a hamburger, yeah. That's what I'm thinking about. What the heck? I don't get it.
I know.
And I know that when they first came out here to Arizona, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, they're lined up.
Yeah.
They're lined up. White Castle coming back around.
I will tell you this, that after you have tied one on and you're looking for a hunger, go get a couple of bomb burgers, and those will help soak up what's in your stomach.
Yeah, if they're still open, that's for sure. Well, speaking of that, Jimmy, having the munchies.
Yes.
I wonder if Le'Veon Bell had the munchies after games in the National Football League. Free agent running back Le'Veon Bell says he smoked pot before games. Here he is talking about his youth.
It's conception about me with the whole weed thing. But, like, looking back on this, like, bro, like, that's what I did. Like, you know, when I was playing football, I smoked, bro. Like, even before the games, I smoke. And I'll go out there and run for 150, 2 tubs.
In the NFL?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why he's so hungry after the game. Or was that why he was eating? He had that big bag of Funyuns or the big
3 minutes
in his right there in his locker at halftime. Le'Veon Bell, as you heard there, said he smoked before and after games.
Yeah.
And fortunately, they don't test you. Most teams are not going to test you, most leagues. But, heck, I think back in my Buffalo Bill days, I mean, testing after the game, our team, the Bills, then, or maybe half the league would get popped for speed, cocaine, pot, painkillers or / Oxycontin, and then DMSO.
Oh, I remember DMSO.
Which was illegal, not that would test for it. So back in the day, you could have tested for like 11, 90 things and got popped. Le'Veon Bell said, yeah, it was all good. I mean, even the night before a game, if you got popped.
Did you ever use DMSO? Because it
Never
smelled terrible when you put it on your body.
No, Conrad Dobler, rest his soul, used DMSO because he could barely walk or move.
Wow.
This last one, guys, very interesting. There's a Texas high school in Waco, Texas. They postponed the graduation after 85% of the class fails to earn a diploma.
What?
85% of the seniors.
Well, it is Texas.
Have failed to graduate because they did not earn their diplomas. Guess what? Y'all are coming back for summer school. If you want to get the graduation from this high school in Waco, Texas, definitely a little wacko going on there in Waco, Texas. You imagine that? 85% of your senior class is not going to be graduating because you failed to meet any kind of standard, which I think it's 2.0.
It is.
If I read this, and just not a very good scenario. Some speaks to the education.
That is correct.
In that town in Waco, Texas.
It's beautiful Waco, but it is Waco. The situation when you referenced they were 2.0, it used to be below that, and the entire state, when the legislature forced school districts to make it 2.0, you thought that all holy hell had broken loose.
Yeah.
That the players, they didn't have to have any grade point average at all in order to play. Unbelievable. Hey, you want to win a 75-inch smart TV? Here's how you can do it right now. Just text Chevy to 59925. That's Chevy to 59925. A chance to win that 75-inch smart TV. Do it right now. Chevy to 59925.
You can also spring into adventure at your Valley Chevy dealers. Spring into impressive power with the 2023 Silverado 1500 LT Turbo Max. Take an adventure in the 2022-2023 Chevy Blazer, Equinox, and Blazer. See your Valley Chevy dealers today for current offers on all cars, trucks, SUVs, and crossovers.
All right, everybody. In our third and final hour, Kyle Vanden Bosch is here to talk about the Cardinals, along with the Arizona Republic's Bob McManaman. It's next, Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910.
You guys are hot.
In the Valley to get in on the action. The Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar. Now, guys, what's your top story this hour?
Well, the Diamondbacks are already at the ball yard right now, warming up, getting ready for the game tonight against Colorado. We'll dive into how they're playing. Also, the Suns continue to look for their new head basketball coach, and the NBA Finals are set, and the NHL Finals are set as well. Manuch, this Diamondback team is surprising. And I think that a lot of people were hoping that they would be close to 500. I don't think anybody expected them to be this many games over 500 as we get into June.
Yeah, being 8 games over 500 at 31 and 23. Only a game and a half. Here we are on May 30th, a game and a half out of first place with the LA Dodgers. Let me say that again, just so everybody didn't pull over and have a wreck. Yeah, the D-backs are only a game and a half back of the LA Dodgers when you look at the standings. And after losing 3 in a row, nice to win 2 games in a row.
Yeah,
and to basically just keep serve, and they're doing with the long ball, line drives, doubles, and stolen bases. And it's a combination where I think earlier on we saw a lot of small ball being played. Then the bats came alive. Started inserting a few more people in this lineup. That had more pop in their bat, so to speak. And you're seeing a team that's able to come back from behind and win games. The only problem I think that we've seen, Jimmy, with this team is that holding leads several times with this bullpen. But all for naught, last couple games, their bullpen held up, and they got the bats scoring when they had to.
This is a team right now that is fun, and it's they're drawing crowds. Look, they had monster crowds when Boston was in town,
sure,
and rightfully so. But even during the week when crowds are supposed to dwindle dramatically, Manuch, people are still showing up to watch this team play. Why? Because they are fun.
Well, I think the thing, too, is you're looking at some of the newbies. Look at Gurriel Jr.
Yep.
I mean, he has another home run yesterday, his 9th of the year. And you look at Rivera at second base. He gets a double, as far as that's concerned. And then you kind of move on from there. And the one thing that we're starting to notice the Diamondbacks are getting better at is the old RISP. What is that you say? Runners in scoring position. Even though they were 2 for 9 yesterday, they made it count. And then Pavin Smith, here they are, down 4-zip. Down 4-zip, and he gets a 3-run knock, and they jump and take the lead 5-3 there in the second inning. And pretty much game goes back and forth, and their bullpen comes in to snuff anything in particular as Chafin comes in and gets that save. So good, solid baseball, and not seeing a lot of errors from this team as well either.
In college baseball, University of Arizona is headed to the baseball tournament, the NCAA baseball tournament. Wildcats, they got a 3rd seed, and they're going to play in Fayetteville, Arkansas. That is the home of the University of Arkansas. They begin play on Friday against TCU.
And Arizona State, unfortunately, left out.
Correct.
They lost a key game, that opening round of the regionals, to U of A, and U of A moves on by the skin of their team. Devils aren't going to make it, but look out for that Devils men's golf team out there at the NCAAs.
Yeah.
They're right in the thick of things. Hopefully we'll get a report here before we get off the air, but they're definitely out there looking to move on and have a chance at winning the NCAA title from that standpoint.
Now, this is fun because Jax has a sister, and his sister is working for Duke University, and she works as a digital broadcaster, photographer, and she is out here right now in Arizona with the Duke golf team.
Yeah, they didn't make the final round, so she left yesterday, but she was
okay.
here for 2 weeks with the women's and men's team. But yeah, the golf tournament just getting underway. The match play, ASU is the 8th seed in this match play rounds coming up here at Greyhawk.
Greyhawk, exactly.
Yeah, Greyhawk. Now, are you and your sister still friendly?
Oh, yeah. We're
I was just checking.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes that doesn't happen.
It's kind of a personal question.
We're twins. We're twins. But again, this is...
Wait. What? You never told us that.
Yeah,
when you
twin
took this
sister,
game.
yeah.
What?
Who's older?
I mean, 23 minutes.
20
minutes. It's relevant. You don't need to hear about my life. There's obviously top stories and stuff going on.
No, well, that's not the top story now that you have a twin sister.
We just found out she's your twin.
I thought I told you guys. Oh.
No,
never.
We know that she got a real education going to Duke. They were like, wow, she must be much older than you.
No. She went to Montana. She
go there?
She went to Montana too. Montana too.
But
She works at,
So she's got a real job, is what you're saying.
And you're working with us.
Exactly.
But speaking of North Carolina, Arizona State's going to play North Carolina in the first round of the Dean tournament at Greyhawk.
Oh,
it'll be good.
golf
Number one seed.
Buds going at it.
Oh yeah, gotta like that. Now for the Suns. I feel like it's that old song. Do I stay or should I go? Well, Nick Nurse decided that he's going to go. And he did not take the Suns position. Instead, Manucci for the position with the 76ers.
Yeah, and being the sub-individual, I think we all are. I would love to see Nick Nurse. I just said from Matt Ishbia. Interview these 25 different guys, and we're going to drill it down. I mean, at the point, I remember when this first came out, when they fired Monty Williams, I said, look, go get Nick Nurse. He's the guy I prefer them to go get. Stop jacking around, screwing around, all that stuff. Nick Nurse is your guy. Well, as he made an interview with Philly and Milwaukee and I'm on that fight, Nick Nurse, and I'm making him a Godfather offer. I'm making him an offer he can't refuse. Now, I know it's a two-way street.
It is.
As far as interviewing and making him comfortable. But I think now, the way things are, I think they let him get away. He prefers, at this point, to go to Philadelphia. But if it was me, being the hardcore sell, I'd have just tried to do everything I could initially. You're our number one guy. We're going after you. And if he turned him down at that time, Jimmy,
yeah.
Okay. My guy, let me put the hard press on him. Say, hey, what is it going to take for you to come to be a Phoenix Suns head coach and help us get over the hump? We don't want to just get to it. We want to get over win an NBA championship.
Obviously, that wasn't the case because he said no and went.
Well, he said no after the 25 different interviews.
Well, yeah.
He might not have said no if you just went in there and said, hey, look,
you're our guy.
Here's the deal.
Okay.
You're our guy. I think of when Steve Nash came back to the Phoenix Suns, and then Brian Colangelo and Jerry Colangelo and his staff, they flew on a plane back to Dallas to go get Steve Nash. The minute, literally, they knocked on his door in Dallas at midnight, the minute they got into here and said, we want you, here's the deal. They were in his living room for a couple hours. They weren't leaving.
Right, until he said
yes. He said yes. And then they came back, and guess where Steve Nash is coming back? He's coming back to the Suns, not going back to Dallas Mavericks. Hell, I'd have did that. You're my guy. I'm flying on. I'm getting on my flight. And if Matt Ishbia is Mr. Aggressive, he wasn't real aggressive as to getting who I thought was the best candidate out there in reference to, well, I want to interview these 5 guys, get the best fit. My ass.
Yeah.
Your best fit was Nick Nurse. All right. So then you go to Plan B. All right. Now who the rest of them? If Nick Nurse needed, well, I want to talk to so-and-so and so-and-so. Okay. But I would have been in his grill for 24 hours and I'd have worn his ass out. Nick, we want you. What's going to take? Here's my general manager. He's going to take what it takes to get you the guys to win it all. You see what I'm saying, Jimmy?
I know where you're going.
I'd have been aggressive.
Yes, you would have been.
Now, if Nick would have said, timeout, no timeout. I'll give you a 30. I'm not going to give you 20. What do you want to do here? 30. Okay. Nick, what do you want to do? Yes or no?
All right, so it appears to me that Matt Ishbia did not want the nurse. He wanted the doctor.
Oh, I see what you did there, Jimmy. I see what you did there.
I'm just kind of saying that if the 3 guys who are left, Doc Rivers, Frank Vogel, Kevin Young, don't
forget about Fernandez too. Maybe.
Well, maybe Jordy Fernandez. Yeah. Am I all wet here? Am I thinking that there's another mystery candidate?
No.
3 minutes?
Somebody behind the secret door who's going to all of a sudden pop out?
No. N-O. Absolutely no. It's going to be either Doc.
Okay.
I prefer Doc Rivers. I really do, folks.
Yeah.
I prefer Doc Rivers. I mean, the guy, like you said, He knows how to perform surgery if you're going down that doctor side.
He does.
He knows how to mend any kind of issues. You know, if prescriptions prescribed for anything on that team. He knows how to handle it. He knows how to cure that. I mean, you can use all the acronyms if you want for a doctor. He is the best medicine, Jimmy.
Oh, boy.
For this Phoenix Suns team as far as experience, know-how, how to get there, how to make it happen. I don't want nothing against Kevin Young, folks. Probably a good coach. I know he's a good coach. I don't want to have to take the floaties off. I want a guy that knows how to navigate, can get in that water, and go make it happen versus
2 minutes.
trying to figure out whether he can sink, swim, or tread. I want to go the Doc Rivers way. Frank Vogel, it was nice. You're a good guy for a bubble if that ever happens again. God forbid that never happens again. But I'm going Doc Rivers. Go make it happen, Matt Ishbia. Let's go. Go.
All right, that's going to be a story that is going to be hot top the rest of the week. Hey, want to watch all the games in comfort, and an opportunity to make wagers? You got to do is just go to Casino Arizona. Golf, cricket. They even have Australian rules football. I love the guy on the white hat when he points after a goal is scored. At any rate, that's where you need to go. Always food and drink specials, and you can make your wagers right there at the sports book. It's all available for you at Casino Arizona. All right, if you're interested in a smart TV, and who isn't, how would you like to have a new 75-inch smart TV? Here's all you have to do. Right now, just text Chevy to 59925. That's Chevy to 59925. You can enter once a day. You will automatically be entered to win a 75-inch smart TV. Text Chevy to 59925. It's all part of the Valley Chevy Dealers Contest and the good guys here at Roc and Manuch and Jimmy B. So coming up, chaos in the Cardinals. On the field, in the front office, it's running rampant. We're going to have a conversation with former Cardinals defensive lineman Kyle Vanden Bosch. He is next. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910.
We are live from one of the 7 Valley Barrio Queen locations. Now back to the guys live from Barrio Queen on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeart Radio app.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. We roll all the way till 4 o'clock today. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910, also 99.9 FM HD2, and on the iHeart Radio app. You hear him on the show all the time. He informs us, and rightfully so, on the National Football League. Kyle Vanden Bosch, former Cardinals, Titans, Lions, defensive.
Hey, Manuch, you there? You want to record your promos? Okay, yeah, no worries. Yeah, I mean, it's in program 1. I'm not sure how I put that over to the live stream.
This is a team that I can get behind. I feel like they're going to practice hard. I feel like they're going to be prepared. I feel like at least you can appreciate the effort that the players assembled on this roster will give on a week-in, week-out basis. Now, you know, it's not a team on paper that is full of superstars, but this is a team that is, you know, starting to form an identity based upon personnel moves made, and it all starts with the personality of the head coach.
I think what Jimmy's alluding to, if I can interject here on that one, you got Allen's gone, one of your top defensive linemen. Murphy Jr. is gone. Marcus Golden has moved on to where's he at now? Buffalo?
Steelers.
Good. Steelers. Buda Baker's a question mark. Sounds like he may come back. Now your best player on the offensive side, DeAndre Hobson, is gone. Full blow-up out. What do you call it? Full blow-up
rebuild,
whatever you want to call it. I mean, for the fan out there, what you're saying, it's not soulless for them. They want to see a team win. So when they see your best offensive player on the team gone, and then Murray maybe not back for, let's say, half the season, that's a hard pill for them to swallow, that kind of confidence, I would say, Kyle.
Well, I agree with that. I agree with that assessment, but I don't think it would be prudent to, pay a big contract to Zach Allen or to pay Byron Murphy or to, to me, just from the outside looking in, it wouldn't make sense to plug a couple of big holes in the dam when there's 10 other holes in the dam. And the biggest hole in the dam, as you talked about, is you may not have your franchise quarterback for anywhere from a few games to a number of games. And even if you had a stacked roster without Kyler Murray under center, and even when he gets back, there's going to be some growing pains, working some kinks out, coming back from an injury. You go all in, even though you're without your franchise quarterback, the highest paid player on your roster for part of the season, or do you start to fill holes, start to build at the ground level, knowing that next year, the following season, there's going to be some cap space freed up. There's going to be some high draft picks. There's going to be an opportunity to, at that point, add some premier players to whatever you have on the roster at this point.
I'm all good with everything that you just said, and I understand what they are attempting to do, and they want to get better in that next season with all the draft capital that they have acquired. Did you like OTAs? Did you enjoy those organized team activities? And they didn't call it OTAs when you were playing, right?
Mini camps.
Minicamp, yeah.
Yeah, well, we had mini camps. We also had OTAs. It seemed like we had more of them. It seems like OTAs get negotiated down every time the collective bargaining agreement. But I did. Look, when you play football your whole life, and football is pretty much year-round your entire life, that month, 2 months you get off after the season seems like a year. And while it's good to take a step back, take some time away, let your body and your mind refresh, it doesn't take long until you just don't feel normal. You don't feel right unless you're doing football things at the football facility with your teammates. And to me, the further I got along in my career, I was excited to assemble my guys so that we could see what we had. We could start to bond. We could start to push each other, and we start to move forward. And you get that first day of school feeling. Look, at the end of school, everybody hates school. You don't like your teachers. You don't like your classmates. You don't like anybody. But as the summer goes along, you start to miss them. You start to want to go back to school. You start to, you love that feeling of a new start, a fresh start, new opportunities. And I feel like that's the way, 32 teams are across the league. And you're excited about the next year because of what it could bring.
It's interesting. I think back at our mini camps many, many years ago, and if guys were holding out on the offensive side and we were missing our top player because they were all mandatory back in those days because we had like 2 or 3 of them, if that. But the key was that the defensive guys would question, like if so-and-so is out, one of our top receivers, or Joe DeLamielleure was holding out at Gull River, it's like they'd kind of look and go, who are you going to replace him with? Kind of that vibe you could feel even at a mini camp back in those days. Do you think that's the same kind of vibe guys are thinking about in that locker room nowadays, even in the OTAs, you don't see your top studs there? Or is it just a matter of having confidence in your GM that he can plug and play as the season comes around?
Yeah, I got to think, having been in locker rooms, that still doesn't change. Look, if you're a leader and you're invested and you're doing everything you can, not just for yourself, but you're giving to your teammates and spending extra time and pushing and putting in the work and sweating out on that football field, you do resent the players that aren't there. I mean, it seems like now there's a bit more of a, everybody's got to take care of themselves, make sure their money is right. But I can tell you, when I was a team captain and a team leader, I didn't care about other people's contracts. I wanted everybody to be paid well, but I cared about wins and losses. And I saw it seems the perception has changed, the view of off-season work. I saw every opportunity in the off-season as an opportunity to either close the gap between us and somebody better than us, or extend the gap between us and a team that's not as good as us, and you find your edge. I saw a direct correlation between what we did in the off season and what happened in the season. Whereas now it seems like the general view is, oh, it doesn't matter. It's just OTAs. It doesn't have an effect on the season. When I truly believe it does.
And I'll second that. I'm gonna tell you what, from the offensive side, looking over and not seeing our top cornerback there, top safety in at the mini camps, for what reason you were like you couldn't help it because you want to keep that continuity.
to analyze the cards and the rest of the NFL.
You guys are hot.
On Twitter at AZBobbyMac. Now, here's Bobby Mack on Fox Sports 910.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. We continue at the Barrio Queen here, Tempe Marketplace. It is Taco Tuesday and also El Bandito Yankee Tequila Tuesday as well, which means Bobby Mack is certainly tuned up. And he is ready to go. Bobby, it's Jimmy and Manuch. How are you, pal?
Tuned up with what, Jimmy?
Yeah,
what are you insinuating?
I'm just saying he's tuned up.
I'm probably not as good as you guys are, but that music always puts me in a good mood. So as long as I hear that, I'm good.
We and just so for FAA regulations, we can't get tuned up until after the show.
4
just
o'clock.
So you know,
Yes.
4 o'clock. So
yeah, same here.
Damn, so you are a professional, huh? You are a professional.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you don't go nearly half a century doing this without saying being a professional. So
that is correct.
So
just lucky, I think, maybe.
What is your professional opinion? It looks as though D-Hop is officially released as of about a couple hours ago. So as you look at him hitting the waiver wire, it looks like it could be a bid between 2 or 3 teams. Now that he's released, the contract is behind him from that standpoint. But no surprise, a lot of folks, I think that they were not going to get the 2nd or 3rd round pick. Teams are not going to pick up $19.4 million contract, all the above. From what you can surmise, was there any kind of potential restructuring to make it more palatable for someone to make a trade for D-Hop?
Well, now they can offer him as a free agent. He can sign for wherever he can get. So there's no restructuring really needed. They didn't get anything for him, therefore his contract is null and void, and he's unrestricted. And I just don't think he's going to find a team that's willing to pay him anything close to what he was going to make here or what Odell Beckham Jr. got in Baltimore. That being said, there's at least 3 to 7 teams I keep my eyes on, and the top 2 being the Chiefs and the Bills for obvious reasons. But my team that I think he's going to end up with, take a guess?
Cleveland Browns?
Ravens?
Possible.
Ravens could find some more room?
Not anymore.
Not anymore?
No, I don't think so. I think the Browns are a possibility, but that's not my team. They're one of the 7 candidates I think where he's going to end up. I'm not going to write about it. I'm just surmising with you guys, and your audience. I think it's going to be the L.A. Chargers.
Wow.
Could be. Yeah.
They got everything that he wants.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think
more or less,
and a user-friendly coach, on top of that as well too.
Yeah,
that might adhere to him. Yeah, my question with Bob was there any work to try to get something done before they released him, or did that fall on empty hands per se?
No, they were going to move on from him. I don't think he was willing to restructure or renegotiate unless it meant ending this relationship with a trade. They could have helped. They could have eaten some of his money if they could have found a trade partner that was willing to pay for some, if not most of that contract. The Cardinals would have had to eat a lot for anything to happen, I think. Therefore, they didn't make the trade and just released him, taking the big cap hit this year, which means they're not going to be very good this year coming up. That's okay. They'll be a lot better in 2024 and 2025, certainly, I would assume.
All right, but I get it, and Manuch gets it, and you understand it, but how do you sell that to your fan base?
You don't. It's really difficult to do that. Usually you're trying everything you can do to improve your roster. I think they'll do that, but you could tell just by the way they approach free agency, and especially the draft, that they're looking to build moving forward, not necessarily now. And that's not a bad strategy. Eventually, at some point, you have to stop the bleeding and start over. Steve Time was wanting to do that, and I get it. He was under pressure from Michael Bidwell to keep a winner on the field, and I didn't think they were far apart. Look, less than 2 years ago, they were at 1.7-0 and 10-2. They were the talk of the NFL. They were the number 1 seed at that moment in time, but things have collapsed so far that they had to do something. That's placing the tourniquet on, maybe severing the limb. They'll let it regrow again. And in this case, I've done that. Monty Ossenfort's done a pretty good job with his draft maneuverability. And I'm looking forward to the time where he starts making trades, and that's when you're going to see what's going to be.
Bobby, now that D Hop is gone, and we just had Kyle Vandenbosch talk about Buda Baker is a question mark. No D Hop. I mean,
3 minutes.
That's a lot of cachet from the starting standpoint. A National Football League team to lose.
It is, and I'll be interested to see what happens with the season ticket base. How many people hang on? How many people let go? What they can do to keep it interesting and exciting. And I think hey, don't look at us now, but wait till we get to 2024. They've got to come up with some sort of slogan like, we're not that far behind. It's not going to be great this year, but it could be really super fun to watch in a year or two. And that's how you got to sell it. One bad year couldn't add a lot of great results for this team, especially if they're drafted 1 and 2, like we talked about so many times on your show.
All right, under your philosophy, what do they do then when Kyler Murray's doctors say, okay, he's cleared to play? Come on, Bobby, where are you on that one?
Unlike most people, I think he's going to be back sooner than everyone.
2 minutes.
I don't know if September's in the cards for him, so to speak, but I don't think he's going to miss more than 3 or 4 games. That's just me believing what I've seen and what I know from having watched him, knowing him, hearing what's being said about him, and how invested and engaged he is this offseason, being at every possible event and practice he can be at despite not practicing. One of the first guys in the building. That's impressive. That wasn't Kyler Murray that we knew until now. So I think that bodes well.
Well, I think what Jimmy's probably alluding to is no reason to rush him back until he's 110% plus, and they've tested him on top of that.
Yeah, they could choose to keep him sidelined longer than necessary, perhaps, as a way to help sell this 1 year. I don't want to call it a tank, but that's what people are calling it.
1 minute. 1 minute.
Behind names, it's like they're just not going to be very good this year. Why rush him back? I get it, but Kyler wants to be rushed back. I think when his body is able and he's ready to be able to protect himself and do the things he can do, but it'll be up to him. But the Cardinals will have a say so will the coach and the training staff. I don't know how they're going to meet heads there, all three together, but it's got to be something they all can agree on peacefully and that makes the most sense. We'll see what that is. I don't know. I just don't personally think it's going to be half the year or longer.
Your OTA's assumptions, what do you take away from that?
Not a whole lot. I mean, there's too many guys switching positions for me to even keep up with it half the time. And
yeah.
I get it. He wants to see what people can do in a pinch, but moving guys all over the place on the line and at linebacker and the secondary, he's trying to make some competition happen before there needs to be any contact, before it's allowed. And I get that. He wants to see what he is and how they react to being maybe in some unfamiliar positions and places. That's why he's in the meeting rooms. He's challenging these guys by calling them out, making them not only recite, but recall and remember exactly what happens on every single play. And he's pushing them. It's a competition in the meeting room too. And he said that was going to be just like that. Obviously, we're not in the meeting rooms, but we're hearing that's going on, and that's fostering good development, cohesion, and competition. And even though they might not win more than 4 games, they're going to be competitive within, and that's where it starts on building a new team from the bottom up.
It's always good, pal, when we talk NFL football with you. Yeah, man. You have a great evening, okay?
I will, my friends. You too. Diablo Taco Tuesday or whatever you call it.
El Bandito.
Love it.
El Bandito.
That's what it is.
Yes. Tequila
Tuesday.
One of these days. Yes, sir. You got it.
Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. We got all kind of Tuesdays going on.
Thank you, brother.
Tuesday's rule.
That's it. You got it, man. Bobby Mack, AZ Central, Arizona Republic. All right, when we come back, it's our Lerner and Rowe 1 call, and it is next. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Fox Sports 910.
Lerner and Rowe, voted Arizona's best law firm.
But Newgarden with a monster run off turn 2. Joseph Newgarden has never won the Indianapolis 500, and he's ahead on his last lap. Joseph Newgarden, is this the moment when the pain ends? The drought isn't over for no Joseph Newgarden, or does Marcus Ericsson have something? Team Penske at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Joseph
You guys are hot.
finally wins the Indianapolis 500.
Thank you to NBC Sports for that. The end of the race, and Newgarden put on a spectacular show on the last lap, made a great pass to get into first place, and then went zigzag the last several hundred yards so that no one could pass him, and he wins the Indy 500 for Team Penske. And by the way, then that night, or I should say the next day, because they were rained out in Charlotte, the Coca-Cola 600, Team Penske won the NASCAR race as well. In a wreck and need a check, all you got to do is just make one phone call. That's all. 602-977-1900. That, of course, is Lerner and Rowe. And you can go to lernerandrowe.com, get a free consultation. In a wreck and need a check, one call, that's all. 602-977-1900. Now, let's get to what's on tap.
All right, Spence, pour me a cold one back there. Tonight, what's on tap? 6:30 tonight, the Rockies at the Diamondbacks. That'll be on Bally Sports. Not a lot going on. Got to wait till Thursday before the NBA playoffs get going on. So that's brought to you by the Roc and Manuch Lager by Huss Brewing Company. Now available at the Tavern Grill in Scottsdale, 88th Street and East Via Linda. Arena Sports Grill on Bell and 62nd Street. Upper Crust, Cave Creek Road, and the 101 right next to the Costco. And in the CZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Try it for yourself. That's the Roc and Manuch Lager by Huss Brewing Company.
All right, now let's get to our state.
3 minutes.
It's your call. Question of the day. And Manuch, I think you really stretched your brain power on this one.
I'm glad you got it, Jimmy, because you can still go to @Roc and Manuch on Twitter. I'm going to keep it simple here.
Yeah.
Who wins the NBA final matchup? The Heat versus the Nuggets. It's either the Nuggets or the Miami Heat. Did I mention go to @Roc and Manuch?
Yes, you did.
Kind of run away with it right now. The Denver Nuggets, 62.5%. The Miami Heat, 37.5%. I voted for the Denver Nuggets. I get the Nuggets winning this bad boy in 6.
I like that as well. I think that earlier, Scott Williams, I think he said the Nuggets in 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I agreed with him, but now that I'm thinking about it, I think Miami wins 2 games. I really do, particularly after what I saw, what they did at Boston.
And I think with Spoelstra as the head coach, the experience that he has, he has had
2 minutes
in the finals and in conference play one way or the other. But I just think that the Nuggets have too much weaponry, so to speak, And they do play pretty good defense on top of it. And they got 8 deep in that lineup.
I got Nuggets in 5, too. I think Adebayo is going to get beat up by Jokic. I think he's going to get absolutely beat up.
Nobody can stop the guy.
No, you can't stop him.
And they don't have any real big guys that can double team with Bam, too. They got a lot of guard play and, with Martin and Vincent. But I think Jokic is about to beat him up.
But Jimmy Buckets, he's going to will that team every game.
He had a good game last week, but he's had a tough series in the Eastern Conference Finals.
He did.
So we'll see how he performs.
Aaron Gordon's going to have something to say about that.
But the one thing that Jimmy Butler does, if he's struggling, he takes to the rack, and he does defensively. One of the top defensive guys. But yeah, I just want to see a good series. I don't want to see a sweep. 5-6 games, and we got to let this in because the NBA, if it goes 7 games, they won't get over till August 5th. So they'll just linger.
1 minute.
I'm just glad they're finally going to play on Thursday.
I am too.
After the 7th game in the Boston game. But so the Celtics are staying home, are they?
Yes, they are. Big dog.
Man, that's too bad.
I know. I can tell it breaks your heart.
So do the Phoenix Suns name a head coach? We come on the air tomorrow.
Yeah.
At 1-4 from Wright Toyota.
Yes.
Will the Phoenix Suns, Doc Rivers or Kevin Young?
30 seconds.
No.
Neither one?
Nope.
The hell for let's go on, man.
Mystery guest. Hey,
so.
Right now, text Chevy to 99255. That's Chevy to 99255. That's to win a 75-inch smart TV. It's all courtesy
10 seconds.
Of your Valley Chevy. Thank you to Spence, Jets, Jacks, Manuch, and Jimmy B. We will talk to you tomorrow from Right